Excel accounting practice problem, set up Excel worksheet. Get ready, because it's time to excel. Here we are in Excel. You don't need access to this workbook to follow along because we'll be starting with a blank worksheet. But if you do have access to this workbook, we have two tabs down below, Example and Practice. The Example tab, in essence, being an answer key. Let's take a look at it now. We're going to be constructing this worksheet as the basis on which we're going to be doing a comprehensive type of problem. Left-hand side being where the transactions journal entries will go. Then we're looking at the trial balance. We're going to have a quick look at the impact of the transactions from a beginning point entries to the ending point. We have a short list of accounts here because these are going to be the starting accounts that we're going to put together. We're going to put them together based on the idea that we have a beginning balances that we need to put into the system. In other words, typically when you're starting an accounting system, whether you're changing accounting systems from a prior system like a prior software to another software, or whether you're just starting a new accounting system, you often have prior accounts that have already been set up that you got to put, in essence, the beginning balances in. If you had a prior accounting system that you were using, then one concept you might try to do is say, hey, look, I'm going to use the prior accounting system as the basis for any questions beyond that point. Use the cutoff date, which you would like to be usually January if it's a calendar year end, so that you have a full year in the current accounting system, and then roll in all your current data into the new accounting system would be the general idea. Therefore, even if you're starting the accounting system sometime in the middle of the year, it could be useful to try to replicate the information into your new accounting system, run parallel to the old accounting system, and then move off the old accounting system as you move forward into basically the new period. That would be one concept if you had an old accounting system. Or you might have a situation where you had an informal accounting system in the past, and now you're trying to formalize the accounting system. Most of the time, people might have set up like a checking account. They might have started a couple transactions. They might have some inventory, for example, and we've got to put those beginning balances on the books. And so in order for us to move forward from that point and do it more formally going forward. And doing that cutoff and just being able to say, hey, look, I'm doing what I need to do in order to get the financial statements correct at the beginning can be kind of challenging because people feel like, how exactly am I going to record the transactions in the past? And again, the general idea would be, hey, look, what's in the past is in the past. We're going to have the cutoff, which hopefully is going to be January 1st. We're going to try to make everything proper as of January 1st going forward. We're going to put the beginning balances in place to the best of our ability before that time based on the records we have. We're going to imagine this being the records we have. Notice there's not going to be any income statement accounts related to it because the income statement accounts for the prior period would have rolled over into the equity accounts. So we're only dealing with basically balance sheet accounts, and we're going to just basically imagine these are our beginning balances. That's our first challenge to set these up. So we'll set up these accounts then in our Excel system. So we'll set them up in Excel. We'll color code them for fanciness, and that'll be helpful to just learn Excel as well as give us hopefully some better idea about them. We'll have to add new accounts as we go, which will be a challenge when you're looking at an Excel worksheet, because then we'll have to practice Excel, inserting more cells and so on, and moving things around in such a way that it'll still add up. And we'll see how to build this entire worksheet and then adjust it as we go. Then we'll have the general ledger accounts on the right-hand side. We'll try to color code the general ledger accounts as well, and then we'll move from there. This will be basically our starting point, and then we'll start to enter transactions. We'll add subsidiary ledgers for accounts receivable, accounts payable, and then we'll add basically inventory, subledgers when we start to add the inventory account, and we'll basically put on the books starting out each one of these items and try to look into the specialized needs that are related to them, adding them to our worksheet as we go. And you can imagine on a parallel basis what would be happening, say, to software if you were to be adding, this kind of information. How does software basically do this, and how could it help you in meeting these needs? Okay, so then I'm going to go back on over here, and we're going to go back to our practice tab. Now I'm going to do this fairly quickly, but I'm trying not to do it too quickly. So I'm going to try to find that happy medium point here. So first I'm going to increase the size of the worksheet. So we're at 100 down here. I'm going to increase the size, plusing that up to maybe 160 so we can see it. I might go down a little bit from there in a bit, but then we're going to start, and I'm just going to build out where I want the journal entries to go when we're actually entering transactions. So I'm going to call that a date field, and then tab. We're going to have the accounts that will be involved when we enter the accounts, and then debits and credits. And so I'm going to format these items. Let's format the entire worksheet first and give it our number formatting, and then I'll format each individual cell. So the baseline formatting, I'm going to select this triangle here, and that'll highlight the entire worksheet, or select it as the more properly termed. Right click on it, and we're going to say that we want to format the cells. Formatting the cells, we want to then go to the currency. This is what I like to format it in. So I'm just going to tell you what I would do. This is going to be the brackets at the bottom. I'm going to put the negative numbers red and bracketed. I'm going to get rid of the $sign, remove the $sign, and remove the decimals. So that's what I'll typically do, and I'll say OK. And then I'll go to the font group and go to the bolding. Now, also just realize that obviously you can develop any kind of formatting that you think is best as well. But when you're following along, you might want to try to kind of follow along exactly what I'm doing here, because that might make it a little bit easier. You might not see that I'm doing something that could have an impact in the future. I might not see it. It's just something I've got used to doing. And then once you go back and refine it again and work through problems again, set up for your own worksheets, you can then kind of deviate. That's what I would basically suggest doing. And I have learned that kind of the hard way, because, you know, teaching these types of courses, I actually was able to look at the textbooks with Excel courses and whatnot. And I was always trying to say, well, that doesn't seem like the easiest way to do it. But, you know, after looking at it, a lot of times they were right, you know, and I was, so I would try to learn it, you know, this way, and then look at the deviations from it. And that was what I would recommend in practice as well. If you're working in an accounting firm, try to learn it the way it's done, and then fix it, you know, if you think there's any improvements that could be made. Okay, so in any case, I'm going to make this top part black and white. So I'm going to select these items up top. We're going to go into the font group. We're going to go to the bucket drop down, and we'll make this black. And then I'm going to make the A here for the font. I'm going to make that black and white. That's going to be my typical format of the headers that I'm going to be using. And then I'm going to center it. So let's go to the Home tab, up top, Alignment, and let's center this thing. There we have it. Now the accounts field is going to need to be a little bit wider typically. So I'm going to grab this in the middle of B and C and pull it to the right. So there we have that. And these didn't center. Typically, that one can stay to the left to me. Well, let's center the whole thing. I'm going to select this again. Why didn't it? Oh, I didn't center it. I did that. Center. There we go. Okay. So then I'm going to format this date field. And what I would like to do is format the date field, because it's a practice problem, to not have the year. A couple of ways you could format it. If I go up top, I can hit the drop down, and we've got the date, the short date. But that short date still, if I put like 1-1, it puts a year in there, and I'd rather just remove that from a practice problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to go, let's go to the formatting of the cell. I'll format the cell down below. And then if I was to go on to say the date formatting, this is the one I'm looking for, but you might not have that, because I think I might have made that myself. So basically I could do something like this. I could say, well, I would like it to look like this, but without the year on the end. And if you want to change that, I can go to the custom item down below and say there is basically the formatting of it, the month, the day, and then the year. And then you can kind of just eliminate the year. It's like, I don't want the year. Let's just kind of remove that. And that should do it. And we just say, okay. And you just made like a custom format. Custom format has been created. So there we have that. And then I'm going to copy that formatting down. Copy that formatting down to here or so. I'm going to make that blue right now, just so I can see how far down I formatted it by selecting the bucket. I'm going to use this blue, which is what the Excel is Fun guy used. So that's what I do. You can find it here on the more colors, and it's in the standard area. And then that blue right there, that's the one. That's the one. And then I'm going to say OK. And then we can select this whole thing and put brackets around it, font group. And I'm going to put brackets around it so it's blue and bracketed. And then I'm just going to do the same thing for these accounts. So the account, I'm going to leave the cell the way it is. And I'm just going to go down here and put some blue and brackets here. Let's go with the blue and the brackets, or the brackets and the blue. All right, so next time, let's stop it here. And then next time we're gonna go, if I go to the example tab, we'll start adding the heart of this, which is gonna be the accounts, and we'll color code it and everything. And then we'll probably have another one where we will start to get into the general ledger and build the GL.